Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as Ruben Amorim looks to get rid of 3 Manchester United stars. We've got the latest on who could be incoming, who won't be incoming. It's game over for some deals, but it's game on for others. And we've also got Amorim's press conference reaction from last night, talking again about a lack of leadership. But before we get into all of that, Manchester United are meant to be playing Liverpool today. The snow came down. You might have seen my Instagram story. We've got the latest weather news from Derek. He's ready to go. Aren't you, Derek? Yes, I am. Is it good news? Yes. Tell me what it is, Derek. Okay, so they had a pitch inspection at 9 a.m. this morning to look at the safety of the game. This has got nothing to do with football. This is all to do with health and safety. And it's just, it's political correctness gone mad. But 9 o'clock, they had an assessment of the surrounding area and they said that the game has not been called off. So what's the latest, Derek? Okay, 11:45, they will check again and make a decision for a 4:30 kickoff. That's absolutely fantastic. Well done, Derek. You can go now. So yeah, look, I think that with regards to the game, game on is what I'm expecting. People have got to travel a long way for this game. It's the biggest game of the season for a lot of people. Liverpool against Man United at Anfield, and if you're calling it off at midday, that's 4.5 hours before kickoff. Most people will be travelling longer than that. So I think they're trying to get this game on, which is a good thing. And look, having seen the weather and it is starting to melt, I think that 20 years ago, this game would have been going ahead. It's as I said on That's Football yesterday, why is it in 2025 that punditry, health and safety and everything else is worse than it was in 1995? It's 30 years ago. So yeah, this game would have gone ahead. And from a Manchester United point of view, jokes aside, this game needs to go ahead. I know people want to get it called off, but thinking about it, this game would probably get rescheduled in March or April when we will be playing Europa League games. The league, for us, is done. We're not doing anything in the league. We're not getting top 4. The league is a waste of time. The Europa League is all we've got left. So when you play Liverpool away, you've got to put a good team out. So imagine if we have to play Liverpool away in April in between a really important Europa League game. We would have to put our best team out because it's Liverpool, and that could jeopardise the fitness of the team for the Europa League. So actually, loads of people are saying, oh, you know, it'll benefit us if the game gets called off. Why? The league is going to be nothing for us. When the replay happens, we'd have to pick our best team, and that might be at a time where we need to rest players for the Europa League. So I just think get it out of the way. Get it out of the way. There's nothing in the Premier League that's going to help us. So I'd say get it out of the way. Can Derek play a 5-yard pass as Jacob? I tell you what, he'd be good in the midfield. He really would. Okay, so that's the latest with the game. Amorim bins off 3 United stars. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about what, you know, it sort of came out last night, but Fabrizio Romano has confirmed it around a Manchester United target. And also, we've got some interview quotes from Ruben Amorim. But we've been working on this since last night, well, a little bit before last night as well. Ruben Amorim has basically said to Rashford, Anthony and Casemiro, get out of my club! Get out of my club! Get out of my club. He probably didn't say it like that, but he has said, get out of my club. You're not part of my plans. Make your agents do some work. They've earned enough money out of this football club. Get out of my club. So that is where we are with that. What is the expectation between now and the end of January with those 3 players? Highly likely that one of them is gone. And very possible that all 3 are gone. Whether they're permanent deals, the chances of them being permanent deals are probably quite low. I can see Anthony being a loan to buy, probably to Spain. I think it will happen. I think Rashford, I mean, God knows. I think Rashford seems to be more interested in PR stories than actually getting a move out of the club. It's sort of like, you know, what's the next release? I'm training really well. No, you're not. You're at home sick. Okay. I'm wanted by every club in the MLS. Yeah, okay, you going? No, don't want to go. So I'm just a bit tired of all the back and forth power play with Rashford and Man United. Like, everybody knows you need to go. Go. Stop doing the... It's like their point score. You know what it is? It's like they're fighting over a girl or a boy or whatever. And whilst they're doing that, someone else just goes and gets married, and they're fighting over nothing. Just leave. Just leave. Like, we don't need any more PR stories. Oh, Saudi wants me. I'm training well. No, they don't, and he isn't. Just go. Just go. So I don't know with Rashford, because I just don't know. It seems to be more about winning a PR battle than actually doing what's best for everybody. But there is still time. He's not part of the squad today. Casemiro, look, he won't start today. Casemiro won't start today. I mean, I'd be stunned if he starts today. So again, we're just stuck with a player that is on huge wages. So yeah, look, Amorim, I'm not really going to discuss Rashford that much, because I think that story is a weird one. Nobody really knows what's going on. But Casemiro and Antony have been told, get out of my club by Amorim. And it's about whether, look, ultimately, what we're saying is that if the manager had the power to cull players, Rashford, Antony and Casemiro wouldn't be here anymore. It's now over to Ineos. I bet you thought I was going to get Derek out again. It's now over to Ineos and what they're going to do, because they've been told, get these 3 players out. And much the same as Mourinho said, however many years ago, get these three players out, and we think it was Shaw, Martial, and maybe Rashford, maybe another. They didn't get rid of them. Ollie said, get rid of these players. They didn't get rid of them. Van Gaal said, get rid of these players. They didn't get rid of them. Ten Hag said, get rid of these players. They didn't get rid of them. So we're at that point again where we've been with every manager, and this is where, for me, Ineos either show that they're different to the Glazers or they're the same. But those things have been said. I tell you what, I'm getting really hot. You know, I sometimes wear this in the morning when I get up. I'm sure some of you got one as well. I can't remember what it's called. But basically, I feel like a sheep in a heat wave. I'm getting really hot. But it's not hot outside. Mooster says, can you wish my son Danny a happy 18th birthday? I would be so grateful. Happy birthday to Danny. Look, I'm excited about the game today. It's still on if you're tuning in late. There is another pitch assessment at midday. They've already done one at 9 o'clock. I think if it was going to get called off, they would have done it at 9. The only thing that can prevent this is if Mr. Health and Safety rings up and goes, hello, I'm the Health and Safety for football, and I've just walked around Anfield. It's absolutely fine. It's actually, you know, you could probably sunbathe, but there was a little bit of water, and I'm a little bit worried that a drunk person might slip over, knock themselves out, and potentially drown in a centimetre of water. So we're calling it off. And that's just the way it is in 2025. Yeah, call it off. So, yeah, as I said, it's political correctness gone mad. These games, when I was a lad, you'd go to football and you'd literally, you know, you'd be doing Torval and Dean ice skating on the way. You could barely see the halfway line, and they'd be kicking a ball around in 12 inches of snow. So, yeah, it needs to go ahead. Get it out of the way. Jack O'Connor says it's nuts. Rashford, Casemiro and Antony are costing the clubs nearly $1 million a week. Pathetic business. Over to Ineos, as I said. I think Amorim spoke to Josie about the players, says Angel Bomb. Well, look, you know, just because it's a news show, I can't remember who told me this. I want to say United Menace, but I don't want to throw him under the bus because I don't think he did. But, you know, he's very good around things that are going around on the training ground. I've just thrown him under the bus. I don't think he said this, but it was a decent source. Man United want to get rid of Luke Shaw. I mean, it's a Sunday morning, and I will throw it in here on a Sunday morning, and I will do this stuff more often on a Sunday because I want to be... I want to just say things how they are. I always have, but I want to do it more because I just think the mainstream are just so boring and dull and grey, and we can be speculative if it's from a reasonable source. And maybe I haven't done that over the last couple of years, but I'm going to start doing it a little bit more because I think we need to make things better. I'm amazed that the world, entertainment-wise, is worse in 2025 than it was in 1995. You know, you had Liam Gallagher shouting bollocks at everybody. You had rock and roll football with Cantona and co. You had games being played in 12 inches of snow. And I just think everything's so safe now. And we can be controversial as long as it's being fair. And I think that what I was told last week was that Man United are going to look to get rid of Luke Shaw in the summer. I don't know how that works, but that might make people feel a little bit more positive. Because if you can't do it on a Sunday, when can you do it? Because when I was growing up, Sunday newspapers were always, you get like the News of the World and the People and the Sunday Times, and they had their own teams working on news Monday to Saturday, and all they did is work on the Sunday paper, which was different from every other paper. So just want to, drop in there is that, I was definitely told this week, and I can't remember who it was, and they probably would go mad if I told them, so I'm going to say it's UTD Menace, but I don't think it is. Just give them a shout out. They're looking to offload Luke Shaw in the summer. That effectively Man United have protected him a lot over the last 12 months, but there's been a change in the last few weeks where they are actually just about had enough of him. So I don't know. Man United have protected Marcus Rashford. Man United have protected other players, but they've definitely protected Luke Shaw over the last 12 months. When you think about the fact that he hasn't played for 12 months, we are literally approaching the anniversary of when he moaned about being forced back from injury and he got injured against Luton. That's nearly a year ago. He's basically not played since then. He got himself fit for the England games and then got injured again. He's on a massive wage. He's doing bloody TikToks on New Year's Eve. Man United have protected him. And you think about, they didn't do this for Anthony Martial. So I think that it'd be very interesting to see what happens with Luke Shaw, but apparently they'll look to get rid of him in the summer. I don't know how you get rid of him. It feels like he's got a 10-year contract, but it would be interesting. Maxine says, what about Onana? I am doing a news show here, but I'm just answering what I know. You could get Luke Shaw on the United stand. No thanks. But I think that with regards to Onana, I was talking to Beth about this on our chat the other day, actually. I think the plan with Onana is probably going to be similar to something like what Brighton do. I think we'll go for somebody like a Verbruggen, who is an up-and-coming goalkeeper, like what Spurs are doing. Spurs are just about to do it as well. I think we'll go for a really well-scouted young goalkeeper who is coming in as an understudy, but very quickly could become the number one. We're not going to go and buy Costa from Porto for 60 million, but I think we'll go and buy an up-and-coming goalkeeper. Maybe that's Suzuki, we've been linked to him again, who comes in as a number two, but very quickly could become the number one. And you phase Onana out. I think that might be what they do. I don't think they'll do something as obvious as this is Onana's replacement. But then again, Onana might turn it around. We need De Jong, says Chris. Mark, my wife is health and safety. Heard you and she's horrified, says Scott. But they all talk like that, you see. She was probably upstairs and she heard that voice. Hello, we're going to call the game off. I bet she ran down and went, I thought I was off work. Mark, you asked me yesterday to ask you this question again, so here it is. Which United player do you think is most likely to leave the club this winter, says J.E. At the moment, we need to get the hotter meter and the colder meter back, don't we? At the moment, I would say that the most likely player to go is Anthony or Casemiro, based on what we've been told in the last 24 hours. Obviously Rashford's very obvious, but I think that one is so political with Rashford. In a footballing sense, it's political because they're just both... It's like they're trying to win an election without realising there's nothing to win. You just need to part ways. Casemiro and Anthony, definitely watch this space. I wouldn't be surprised if one of them escalated this week, based on what we were told yesterday. Amorim wants them gone. Ineos are trying to do something with those players. United, says Moddy. Can you wish done that one? I think Amorim spoke to Jose. Great one. I'd rather play the game and suffer right now over postponing the pain for the future. I agree. Could you ask Derek if he can buy out the Glazers and Ineos, says Param? And thank you very much for that. Okay, let's talk about what Ruben Amorim had to say, because he did have a press conference. Obviously, I think it happened on Friday, but there is an embargoed section of that where you get quotes the night before. Liverpool game, Man United is on at the moment. Just to read what Liverpool have said, a safety meeting was held at 9 o'clock this morning to assess the weather and travel conditions for today's fixture against Manchester United. At this stage, the match is planned to go ahead as normal and every effort is being made to get the game on. A further safety meeting will take place again at midday to assess the latest conditions. We will update supporters just as soon as we can. And for those people out there who just cannot understand how ridiculous health and safety is at times in the UK. This has got nothing to do with the pitch. It's got nothing to do with the stadium. This will be to do with the roads and walkways around Anfield. Something that Liverpool don't even own. So yeah, this is the way it works in this country. Okay, let's have a few quotes from Ruben Amorim. This is from his press conference not last night, but the held back section. He said, of course, when you are losing, there is a lot of pressure, but for me, it's more about the pride and also the performance. It's even harder when we don't perform well, because when I arrived, I explained everything. Even when you guys were talking after Everton about us finishing in the top 4, I explained that I was expecting this. And he did. And to be fair, I said it. I remember, you can go back to that time when we beat Everton 4-0. And some of you were getting very excited, but you had these sensationalist content creators and, you know, people in the media talking about Amorim balls here because they haven't got a bloody clue about what they're watching. They're just in it for self-gratification or whatever you want to call it, or they're just idiots. Amorim said it, I said it, most of you said it. There ain't no way that 4-0 win at home to Everton is an indication that Amorim ball is here, and it wasn't. It really wasn't, and it's still not yet. So I think we've got to be realistic to the severity of the problems. If you've got 10 years of problems, some would say it will take 10 years to put it right. I don't think it will take 10 years, but, you know, the way I look at Man United's problems is this. It's a bit like going on a run. If you run 5 miles away from your house, you're not going to be back in... If you run in a straight line 5 miles away from your house and you've got to come back to your house, you're not going to be back in a mile. It's probably going to take 5 miles. It might take longer because you're more tired. But you might do it slightly quicker. But I do think that we expect, and the media play a big part in this as well. And Man United's lack of communication plays a part in this as well. I mean, it really frustrates me how quiet Ineos are. I really did hope that when the Glazers, who were silent, sold part of the club to Ineos for the footballing side of things, I really did hope that we were going to start being a little bit more like a Dortmund or a Bayern and being a little bit more communicative with a fan base that craves communication. And they're so quiet. We got Omar Barada, he's a great CEO, never says anything. Got Dan Ashworth, we've sacked him. Got Jason Wilcox, never says anything. Not, you know, Sir Jim Radcliffe and Sir David Brailsford never say anything. The only time you hear anything from them two is if they're doing a podcast about cycling. Like, the communication is terrible. So I think it's logical, and the media do this as well. You get a new manager, Man United are going to win the league next year. We've been. If you go from the last point of genuine success, which was 2013, winning the Premier League with Sir Alex, that's 11 years ago. In fact, it's 12 years ago in 6 months. 12 years. 12 years. If you had a kid, they're at secondary school. 12 years. It's incredible. And I think that, you know, if it's taken us 12 years to get to this point, and many of you are saying we're not at the lowest point yet, this is as bad as it's ever been, why wouldn't it take 12 years to get back? Now, it shouldn't take 12 years. That's being silly, but it conceivably could take 6 years. It could take 8 years. It could take 5 years. It's not going to take 5 weeks. 12 years, the Glazers have been destroying this football club, and people still think a new manager is going to sort it out in 5 weeks. It's just simple maths. Simple maths. And I don't know how long it's going to take, because I still don't see... Like, if you said to me, how long is it going to take? I'd say, well, the debt's not going to help us. Moving stadium's not going to help us. All these expensive wages aren't going to help us. And where's the money to replace and get rid of these players? So at the moment, I would say I can't see a pathway for 5 years, let alone 2. I can't see the things that I think need to be done to start making us find our way back. So I sort of agree with some people. 12 years this damage is being done, and people talk about when we'll be back. What if we haven't turned round yet? What if we're on this road to chaos and we're still walking down it? And that's a great way to think. People keep talking about if winning the Premier League with Sir Alex Ferguson was home, and for the last 12 years we've been walking further away from it, what makes you think we're walking back yet? I don't think we've even turned round. I think we're getting further away. And constantly we hear about, when are we coming back? When will we be back? You can't go back until you turn around and start walking in the right direction. And I still think at the moment we're walking in the wrong direction. I think Amorim wants to turn us around, but he's got a load of people pushing him from behind. He said it's hard to cope with the problems here and the bad performance and the losses. It's really hard, but it's supposed to be really hard. The only thing that can help me is training with the players. And I also have my family now here, so it's much different. It can help. They came on the 27th and it was a good day. Well, it's good to hear that he's got his family with him. He said, we know that we are Manchester United, and I know that I'm supposed to talk about these things, not supposed to talk about these things like relegation. But I want to be very clear with the fans and the players. I think that it is really important in this moment. Anything can happen, but we must be focused on winning games and to improve our performance. Then relegation won't be an issue in the future. The players are anxious and sometimes afraid on the pitch, so we have to cope with that. I mean, that to me is terrifyingly worrying, that we've got players that are scared on the pitch. I don't think it's a surprise. I don't think it's breaking news, but this is a massive problem at Manchester United. I mean, it's hard to put yourself in that situation because, you know, it's all right for us to sit here and say you wouldn't be scared. I know I wouldn't be scared. Like, I've been in a situation where I've been on a pitch with 30,000 people and people are taking a piss out of you. I've been on a pitch where, you know, with a few hundred people and people are cheering for you. It's a mentality thing. But what I do know is it's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about Garnacho. It's not about Rasmus. It's not about It's not about Bruno. It's not about Rashford. It's about what we know. The thing is, you can have a vision and you can have never witnessed it. But when you've witnessed such riches, it's hard to live with being poor. And when I've witnessed Cantona rolling his bloody collar up at Selhurst Park or against Wimbledon in really difficult circumstances, on a muddy pitch, on a team that wants to kick him and a crowd that doesn't like him, or you've seen Roy Keane get a second yellow card in Turin and know he's going to miss the Champions League final, pull his socks up and put in the game of his life. You can't put up with fear in a Man United shirt. And maybe that's an age thing, but I can't sympathise with it and I can't take it on board. Because I've seen players in the most difficult... David Beckham, after the 98 World Cup, people are calling his wife all sorts of things. He's a young man with a young family. He's got pictures of himself being hung from a bridge. And he goes back and has the best season he's ever had at Man United. And that, to me, is why there's no excuse. This comes down to one thing: recruitment. And that's where the blame is. It's not with the player that hasn't got the balls or is scared. It's with the recruitment of the prats who thought they were Man United players in the future, at the time. There are personalities capable of putting that shirt on today and being absolutely fine. And if we've got a team of cowards, then that reflects on the ownership, not really on the players. And it certainly doesn't reflect on us, the fans, to say, I'm not going to sit here and be sympathetic about a bunch of scared players. We're Manchester United. Scared to put a Man United shirt on. Busby Babes, Dennis Law, George Best, Brian Robson, Roy Keane. We're not scared to put that shirt on. You just need the right mentalities, and that's the problem. And that's where Amorim went with it, actually, because he said, we need the leaders to step up and help the other guys, and I'm the most responsible person here to improve the performances. You can see the players are trying. Sometimes they're too anxious and too afraid to play football because this is a difficult moment. So I'll help the players to be better. And you know what? I think people will read that statement from Amorim and take it in so many different ways. Some people will start being sympathetic. Some people will start being angry. I think the real message, as with Rangnick, is a hidden message. And when he said the players are trying, but they're too anxious and afraid to play football because it's a difficult moment, what he's actually saying is, it's not the players' fault that they're not good enough. That's what he's saying. And I don't know whether journalists, you, or many people are intelligent enough to see what the message is from Amorim. I think you are. I think most people are. But I think some people will read that and go, he's backing his players. It's not their fault. They're just a bit scared. But actually, I think what he's actually saying is, to Ineos and everybody else, is it's not the players' fault that they're not good enough. But I'm telling you now, they're not good enough. They're weak mentally. They're cowards. And that's why we're not doing very well, because I'm using a bunch of players that are mentally weak. And that's the intelligence of a Rangnick or an Amorim, is that they can say something really nice and actually it's really harsh, because it sounds like he's saying, you know, I'm here to help these players. They're anxious. It's a difficult time. I'll take the responsibility. But why is it the manager's responsibility to look after a bunch of players that he is saying are scared? They're scared because they're in a difficult moment. And they think nurses have it hard. Imagine a nurse on a Saturday night. You've got a really bad car crash to deal with, you know, you've got all this pressure. And Man United players on a couple of $100,000 a week are scared to pass the ball because it's a difficult time. They're in a difficult time because they've put themselves in a difficult time. The Premier League didn't say you're in 14th place. We put ourselves in that because they were shit. It wasn't a scary, anxious time on the opening day of the season, was it? It wasn't a scary, anxious time on the second and third game of the season. They put themselves in this position because they're not good enough. And that's what Amorim is saying. He's saying, look, I'll take responsibility as the manager, but the players are scared. And the players are scared because they're not good enough. It's as simple as that. And that's why today we need to see something else. Loving this club has been bad for our mental health, says Ricky. Like having a girl's friend that goes out too much but never comes home. Qatar come back. 4 players from Man United and Liverpool in fantasy. Palmer vice-captain, screwed if it's off, says Kevin. I think it'll be fine. Why do big games play on Sundays, says Sakil. Super Sunday. I'm just bracing for the impact later, says Alif. Should buy Hermansen from Leicester. Quietly been saving them from Southampton levels of embarrassment before his injuries, says Raval. Will the United game take place, says Rub? At the moment, we think it will. There's another assessment in an hour and a half. And we need De Jong, says Chris. And then finally, he had this to say, I am more focused on our basics. So rather than trying to find things in Liverpool shape, I'm just really concentrating on the way we're supposed to play our game. When you don't have the basics, you can't do it. And I think what that is all about is that if you look at Man United in recent weeks, every goal we've conceded has been because it's poor, really. Poor mistakes. It's mistakes, isn't it? And I think that's what he's saying. We need to sort the basics out. As I said, for this Liverpool game later, we've just got to get through the first 20 minutes concentrating. I'm very interested to see what the team's going to be as and when the game gets confirmed, which I think it will do. Let me just have a quick catch up here. I'm getting lots of pictures of snow from people. What scoreline do you think it will be? Mate, look, let's get the game on first. I think it will be. But as I said, if you're tuning in a little bit late, I want the game to go ahead. I want the game to go ahead because when does it get postponed to? I was looking at the schedule. Definitely won't get played in January. Hard to see it getting played in February. March, forget about it. So the game would probably get squeezed in April. And what if we're in the Europa League? The Europa League's our priority. And, you know, you're playing a semi-final or a quarter-final of the Europa League and they stick Liverpool in. And you're like, you don't want to pick your best team because you want to be focused on the Europa League, but you've got to pick your best team because it's Liverpool. So people are saying, oh, it'll be better for us if it doesn't happen. Why would it be better for us? The league means nothing. We're not going to do anything in the league. This is just Man United against Liverpool, which will mean something whenever it happens. So now's the perfect time for us to do it. Get it out of the way, because we don't want this game later in the season when the Europa League's the priority. So I just think get it on. They checked the pitch at 9 o'clock this morning. It's still up. No, they didn't check the pitch. The pitch is fine. They checked the surrounding areas. Let me just do this. I'll get health and safety back.
So what we basically did is, this is where we come into our own as health and safety. We checked the surrounding area for slips, and Steven Gerrard's not allowed because he'd slip on a bloody piece of grass. And we're basically, the pitch is fine, the stadium is fine, the club shop is open, but we're just worried about some twat slipping over. So we checked at 9 o'clock. We couldn't fall over, so we're going to check at midday, and then we'll make a final decision. What about people who are already on the way? That's not our concern. Our concern is slipping outside Anfield. So yeah, they're going to check again at midday.
But I think it will go ahead, because if there was real concerns, they could have just cancelled it at 9 o'clock and, stopped everybody travelling. I just think get it on. Get it on. It's a bit like having a tooth out, isn't it? Oh, dentist rings up and says, that tooth that's causing you a bit of pain. I know I was meant to take it out this afternoon, but we're going to do it in a couple of months. Just get on with it. Some people get excited by that and they think, oh, great, but let's just get on with it. Let's get on with it. That's what I say. Big Shaq says, I want Kuna at Manchester United. Perfect timing. When is the Christmas tree coming down? It might be down for the Liverpool game. We're going to start today. I don't know when it's meant to come down. It's tomorrow, isn't it? 12th night. 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. So it's meant to come down. This is the last night, the 12th night, isn't it? So it's meant to come down tomorrow. But I think we'll probably start doing some of it today, being a Sunday. Another reason to get it played is we might have to do a guard of honor. Yes, Glenn C, that's a bloody good point. We don't want to be the game where they win the league as well. What if it gets delayed till like early April or late March, and it's or late April, and it's the game where the 3 points gets them the title? We don't want to be doing. No. Glenn's just dropped the biggest super chat of 2025. We don't want to be doing this. We do not want to be doing this. We don't want to be doing a guard of honor for Liverpool at Anfield. Yeah, get the game played. Yeah, I'd rather lose 8-0 today than give them a guard of honor after a 1-0 in April. Is the tree real? No, that's not real. Anyway, update on Kuna. We sort of spoke about this on the show last night. It's been confirmed by Fabrizio that a deal has been agreed between Kuna and Wolves. They just need to sign it. He's going to sign a contract extension at Wolves. I don't understand this. I mean, on one level, it's game over for Manchester United, because I think this is a player that we should have been looking at in January. It's disappointing because realistically, you cannot say we're signing Kuna from Wolves just because he'd be a good signing. And it just shows you how you never know what deals you're going to do. He'd be bloody perfect for Man United. He'd be absolutely perfect in behind the striker. I mean, look, as much as I like Bruno, Kuna for Bruno would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. But we have got Bruno. We've spent 300k on Bruno. And I think the reason we can't go for Kuna is because we've got Bruno. And people say you can play Bruno and Kuna, but I don't think that's actually how Amorim's system works. I think Amorim wants a Bruno type and a winger. He wants an Ahmad and a Bruno, or an Ahmad and a Kuna. And I actually think that Bruno is preventing us from actually going for someone like a Kuna, and probably money. It's very frustrating because I think he would be perfect for what we need. And I would applaud Wolves for getting him to sign a new contract. But I genuinely, whether he's coming to Man United, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, why is he signing a new contract at Wolves? You're just increasing your value to a club that's going to buy you. If you don't sign that contract, you're keeping your transfer fee down. By signing that contract, you're getting that transfer fee up, which is great, helping Wolves out, but it makes it harder for people to buy you. But then again, he might go, well, look, I know loads of people want me, and if they want me, they can pay the price. So, look, it's sour grapes, let's be honest, but he's probably just priced himself out of a move to Manchester United. But maybe Man United were never going to get him anyway. But look, if he signed that contract, he's definitely not moving in January. It doesn't mean he won't go in the summer, by the way. There's probably... The benefits for Wolves are... People would say, well, if he's signing a new contract now, he's not going in the summer. Absolutely not. If he's signing a new contract now, it means he's not going in January. And it means if he's going in the summer, then the price has to be met. I would say... he's probably on, I don't know, if he's on 50 grand a week at Wolves, he's probably on 100 grand a week now until the summer. And he was probably available for about 45 million. And I would imagine in the contract, it's agreed that if somebody offers 60, he can go. So we're not talking about massive increases, but he will get probably double his wages between now and the summer. And instead of going for 45 in January, if somebody offers 60, he probably can go. So it won't be a huge increase, but it will be worthwhile for Wolves and the player. Yeah. Sean from Ireland says he'll have a release clause if they get relegated. He'll have a release clause anyway, mate. Jack Grealish had a release clause at Villa, even if they didn't get relegated. There'll be a price in his contract that Wolves have to... What I'm basically saying is he's not going to lock himself into Wolves. Like, he's not going to sign a deal where he doubles his wages, but there is nothing about what he can go for. Because Wolves could say, we won't sell you for anything less than 90, and then he's stuck at Wolves for the rest of his career. There'll be a fee in that contract that Wolves have to accept. But it'll be a lot more than it would have been in January. It's disappointing though, but on the other hand, this is why we need to be really careful about transfers, because people often say, who are we going to sign in January? And the honest answer is, I don't know. I hope Man United know, but I don't know who the left back's going to be. I don't know who the attacking midfielder's going to be. I don't know who the holding midfielder's going to be. I don't know who the striker's going to be, but we need all four. We won't get all four in January, but we need those four positions. In a way, it's exciting that we don't know, because we shouldn't know, and we shouldn't be able to predict it. And as much as I'd like Kuna, there's a part of me hoping that there's a player like that who's half the price, who's not playing in the Premier League yet. Because I do think when you look at Brighton, that's what we need to do. We need to be, if we're being completely honest, we don't have loads of money, so we need to be the club that buys the player before they become the player at Wolves, before they become the player at Leicester. We need to get them the time before. And that's why Favell is really important, because he's very good at youth recruitment in and around Europe of really talented players. So if you were looking at a Nipan or somebody like that, there's a couple of lads at Salzburg, then you don't pay Wolves £50 million. You maybe pay £20 million to Salzburg or £15 million to Rosenborg. And I think that's what we need to do. What do you think the chances are for the game to be played today, says Elias? I mean, I can't believe how many times I'm talking about this. So, Man United are playing Liverpool today at 4:30. It is currently 10:30. 9 o'clock this morning, an hour and a half ago, they checked the surrounding areas and decided they weren't going to call it off. In an hour and a half, at midday, they're going to recheck it and see what the story is. This has got nothing to do with the pitch. This is about the surrounding area and whether it keeps snowing in Liverpool, because they worry about health and safety. As I said, in 1995, this game would have gone ahead because they would allow people to take responsibility for their own travel and walking. But health and safety in 2025 is somebody might slip. Somebody might, do this. And that one person who might slip can get the whole game called off because of health and safety. It should be going ahead, but I think it will go ahead. There's a few quotes coming in from Delit, actually. He says, I think a club of the size of Man United should not be in 14th place, I think, at the moment. So we know that. We know it's tough for everybody, but the only thing we can do and control is the work we do on the pitch. Today we had a good session, we trained really hard, and this way I think we hope to solve the period and to make it better period for us and for ourselves. We built up with a 3 with Eric like we do now. We defended high up the pitch with 1 fullback, so we defended also with a 3. With Ruud van Nistelrooy, it was the same. We built up with a 3. So, I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, a lot of focus has been put on the training by Amorim. He said multiple times that he hasn't had time to train with the players. And yet last week, he's had a whole week since the Newcastle game. And he'll have a whole week after this game ahead of the Arsenal game. So I think some of us underestimate the fact that since Amorim's come in, he's probably very rarely had a training session with the entire team. Because when you play a game, those that play don't train, and those that didn't play do train. So you very rarely get an occasion where the whole team can train together. And over the next couple of weeks, he's going to get that opportunity. And if Delit is saying already that we've had a session together and it worked really well, then hopefully we'll start to see some things. I mean, look, I don't necessarily think we're going to see anything today or next week against Arsenal, but that Arsenal game could be quite interesting, I watched Arsenal. I don't want to talk about Arsenal really because we've got Liverpool, but it might be our next game if today gets called off, which hopefully it won't. But I watched Arsenal last night. They're a good team, but they don't have Saka. They're a good team, but they've got to play again on Tuesday. Then they've got to play us. Then they've got to play Spurs. Like, they've got a lot of games at the moment, Arsenal. And for the first time in weeks, we might actually go into that Arsenal game a little bit fresher than we normally would. Kuna was 60 million from Atletico Madrid. Wolves want to get back at least what they paid. Did they really pay that, JSD? Bloody hell. Didn't know they paid that much. That must have been the stupid era. What do you think the chances are for the game to be played, says Elliot? I think they're high. I think they're very high. But then again, I don't trust health and safety. You never know. You never know. Pineapple Guy says, don't take the Christmas tree down. We have Orthodox Christmas on Tuesday. I hope the game will be played today and the players ain't good enough, says Pineapple Guy. I want the match to be played. Bring it. No fear. United win, says United AV. And we'll have a release clause if they get relegated, says Sean from Ireland. Okay, thank you very much. Casido and Jude were at Old Trafford. Go all out for talent, says Anthony Tracy. Thank you very much for that. I don't know what that's all about. So, are people starting early today on the drink? I don't know what's going on. Anyway, long way from London to Liverpool for it to get cancelled. Yeah, look, you can't be... The stupid thing is, if you're worried about the health and safety of fans, if you call it off at midday, that's basically, if you're going to that game, you need to be there for 3 o'clock. So if you call the game off at midday, there'll be people who are already on the roads. Certainly if you're driving from somewhere like London or Bristol or, you know, Birmingham or whatever. So those people are already in their car on difficult roads at midday. So I just think this game goes ahead. I really do. I've not seen anything in the last sort of hour from the Liverpool area that would make me think it's chucking it down with snow or it's getting worse or anything like that. So I think the game will go ahead. And also, I think from Liverpool's point of view, they desperately do want to see the game go ahead as well, with regards to... they've already had the Everton game called off, and if they were to win today, it puts them in a really, really strong position. There's no rain or snow for hours in Liverpool, apparently. Most trains are now back up and running, and the snow is turning into slush. So, yeah, it's looking good. It's looking good. It's all about the temperature, really, isn't it? What about Rashford to AC Milan? You know what I would say to anybody talking about Rashford to AC Milan or Rashford to PSG or anything like that? For those things to happen, we need to move away from PR games of this, that and the other from both clubs, but from the player of Man United, and move towards a solution. If AC Milan is a genuine solution for Rashford, then, and he wants it, and Man United wants it, it can happen really quickly. But what I'm being told at the moment is there is no prospect of a move for Rashford at the moment because the player and the club are too locked in to some sort of PR war about, you know, proving a point. And until they can come together in a grown-up way and resolve that, then there's no point in, you know, you could speculate that he's going to sign for Arsenal. It makes no difference. At the moment, they're not in a position where either party are actually working together for an outcome. But as I said, watch this space with Casemiro and Antony. I think those two are the most likely at the moment to be going in January. Right, thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully we're not going to be doing a midday video that the game's been cancelled, and hopefully we will start countdown to kickoff at around 3 o'clock for a 4:30 watch along. That's what we're hoping for now. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. I will speak to you later on, one way or another. Let's get ready. I want to get this game on. Take care, everybody. Stay safe, and I look forward to speaking to you later. Thanks for watching.